Would you like to see a magazine? We have some that were donated. Most are in Spanish, I'm afraid, but there is a Newsweek from last December. That is not too old. And a Reader's Digest. That is timeless, yes? That's okay. I'll be fine. Maria's expression brightened hopefully. Maybe you would prefer to see some information on the program, she suggested. We have several papers that were prepared for fundraising and for grants. The Padre helped us to write them. Yes, Dana said, careful to disguise her eagerness. I'd love to see whatever you have about Yo Amigo. You don't by any chance have a file of articles that have been done about the program, do you? Maria nodded. Oh yes, we saved them all. She wrinkled her nose. Even the bad ones. So not all of the media coverage had been positive, Dana thought. Who were the critics, she wondered. Would they provide some clue about the murder? Or was she grasping at straws to think that opponents of the program might kill as part of some Machiavellian plot to force its closing? Never before had she been involved in a case in which the victim had been so universally loved. Except for those who disagreed with Ken's philosophy regarding the gangs, there simply were no obvious starting points, at least when it came to identifying people with a motive to do Ken harm. And yet she couldn't accept the possibility that his killing had been random, even in an area known for its drive-by shootings. Why? Was it simply her own need to put a more meaningful label on the crime? A need to fix blame? With the quick expertise of a very organized person, Maria put her hands on several thick files and handed them to Dana. This will keep you busy for a while. Yes. Would you like coffee? One of the boys just brought in some café cubano. It is very strong, but very good. That sounds wonderful. She took a tiny cup of the dark, sweet coffee with her into Rick's office and settled into the chair behind his desk, the file folders spread out in front of her. Glancing around, she cursed the lack of a copy machine. She'd never be able to read everything in the time she had. Perhaps, though, there would be duplicates of some of the information on the program. She could take a set of those and concentrate for now on the promising batch of clippings. Sure enough, inside one folder she found several copies of a slick brochure on Yo Amigo that had been designed for fundraising, along with a printed fact sheet about costs, goals, and achievements. She folded up copies of both and stuffed them in her purse. The grant proposals in another were too bulky to deal with, for the moment, but she made a note of foundations and government offices that had been sent applications for funding. Then she turned her attention to the articles. One by one, she lifted them from the folder. They were in no particular order that she could discern. They hadn't been sorted by topic or by date. She wondered at the latter. Even if the person filing them, presumably Maria, had simply been stuffing them into the folder, wouldn't they be in something close to chronological order, either front to back or back to front? Instead, she found articles from 2 years before filed ahead of those from 2 weeks ago, followed by one from the program's dedication and grand opening. In fact, rather than being neatly filed, they appeared to have been jammed into the folder hurriedly. Had someone else searched this particular file and perhaps removed something incriminating? Or, once again, was she grasping at straws? Maybe the person filing simply had no particular system. If Maria had recruited assistance from one of the kids Dana had met, it was entirely possible that the filing had been done haphazardly. For the moment, perhaps she ought to create a log of the articles by source, date, headline, and topic. Later, she could compare it to a search of the archives of area papers to determine which clipping or clippings might be missing, if any. It might lead her to a clue. It was a slim hope, but it was all she had. Snatching a notebook from her purse, she made hasty entries, not even pausing long enough to read more than a cursory paragraph or two to familiarize